from dead sleep. 5 gunshots. Pow, 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 pow. And then the door slammed underneath my balcony.
Two brothers left their home on a Saturday morning. They weren't going to a fight. They weren't looking for trouble. They were going to check on their sister. Just a quick visit. Make sure she was okay. That was it. That was supposed to be it. They never came back. Imagine that for a second. You wake up, you get ready. You walk out the door to protect someone you love. And before the sun even gets high in the Miami sky, you're both gone. Shot dead. Inside your own sister's apartment. By her boyfriend. One brother was 28. The other was 23. Born on the same day of the year, 5 years apart. And they died on the same day too. Same apartment. Same gun. Same man. This is their story. This is the story of Gianni and Jaheim Pierre. And this is the story of a shooter who didn't run. Who didn't hide. Who walked straight up to the police and said, "I'm the one." Welcome back to True Crime Unravelled on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, you're on True Crime Unravelled TV. We read every single comment you leave, every theory, every question, every time you share your own story in the comments. Keep them coming. You are the reason this channel keeps digging. Now, let me take you to Liberty City, Miami. Apartment 210, Northwest 17th Avenue. Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. A day that started like any other and ended with a mother burying 2 sons. Let me paint you a picture of who these young men were before the world knew their names. Gianni Pierre came into this world on February 23rd, 1998. 5 years later, almost to the day, on that same February 23rd, his brother Jaheim arrived. Same birthday. 2 brothers separated by half a decade, but tied by something thicker than blood. They grew up together in Miami. Same house, same rules, same kitchen table. And somewhere along the way, they became the kind of brothers who showed up when things got heavy. Gianni had a daughter, a little girl who will grow up knowing her father through photographs and stories. That's the part that doesn't make it into the headlines. That's the part that breaks something in you when you sit with it long enough. Their sister, Jalisa Evans, had been in a relationship with a man named Antoine Carter for about 4 years. They shared that apartment on Northwest 17th Avenue. And somewhere inside those 4 years, something went off the rails. There was a documented history of domestic violence. The police knew about it. The family knew about it. Her brothers knew about it. Now, here's where you have to understand something about families like the Pierres. When a sister is in a bad situation, brothers don't just sit on the couch and hope for the best. They move. They show up. They put boots on the ground. And that's exactly what happened on May 2nd. The story goes that there was an argument inside that apartment that morning. Jalisa and Antoine going at it. The kind of argument that makes neighbors stop what they're doing and listen through the walls. And somehow, somewhere in the middle of it, the brothers got word. They came, not to start a war, not to throw the first punch. They came to check on her. When they arrived, things escalated. According to police reports, Jaheim and Antoine Carter got into a physical fight. Punches were thrown. And in the chaos, Jalisa left the apartment. She went to a neighbor and asked them to call the police. When she came back, Carter was gone. She locked the door. She told her brothers, "Do not open it." Those words would echo in ways she never imagined. Here's where the story moves from tragic to calculated. Because the building had security cameras, and those cameras saw everything. The footage shows Antoine Carter leaving apartment 210. He walks to the parking garage. He approaches a black four-door sedan. He reaches into the front passenger side. He pulls out an object. He puts it in his front right pocket. Then he walks back to the building, back to apartment 210. He tries the door. Locked. He starts banging, not knocking, banging, fists against the wood. And then he starts yelling, "Open up, you soft ass. I bet one of you won't open up." He paces back and forth in front of that door. Minutes pass. His girlfriend is on the other side, telling her brothers over and over, "Don't open it. Don't open that door." But Jaheim opened it. The moment that door cracked open, Carter charged through. And as he crossed that threshold, his hand was already reaching into his front right pocket. The same pocket where he'd placed whatever he pulled from that car. Then the shots came. Neighbors heard them. One woman who lived in the building said she was woken from a dead sleep. She counted 5 gunshots. Pow, 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 pow. Then a door slammed. Then silence. The kind of silence that tells you something has ended. Inside that apartment, Gianni Pierre was sitting on the couch when the bullets found him. His brother Jaheim ran toward his sister. He ran to cover her, to put himself between her and whatever was coming next. When the bullet struck him, he collapsed on top of her, died right there, shielding her with his own body. Let that sink in. A 23-year-old man in his final seconds thought about his sister before he thought about himself. That's who Jaheim Pierre was. That's who left this earth on May 2nd. After the shooting, Antoine Carter sat on the edge of the bed. He looked at Jaleesa. And this is what he said, "See what you made me do. See what you made me do." For words that tell you everything about how his mind processed what just happened. Not remorse. Not horror, blame, laid right at her feet while her brothers lay bleeding on the floor. She said, "I told you to leave." And then she ran, barefoot, clothes soaked in blood. She ran out of that apartment and into the hallway. That's the image you need to hold on to. A woman running for her life, covered in her brother's blood, because the man she shared a bed with just became the man who destroyed her family. When police arrived at that building, they found 2 men shot multiple times. Gianni Pierre was pronounced dead at the scene. Jaheim was rushed to Ryder Trauma Center. At 1:05 p.m., he was gone. 2 brothers, same birthday, same death day, February 23rd to May 2nd. That's the math of their lives. That's all that's left. Now here's where this case takes a turn that still makes me shake my head. Most murderers run. They hide. They lie. They lawyer up. They disappear into the wind and make detectives work for every single scrap of evidence. That's the playbook. That's what you expect. Antoine Carter did the opposite. While officers were still processing the scene, while detectives were still trying to figure out what happened, a man walked up to them, approached them directly, and said, "I am the one. I have the firearm." Just like that. No chase. No standoff. No, you'll never take me alive. He walked up and handed himself over. And when they checked his pocket, there it was. The gun. Still on him. He hadn't tossed it. Hadn't hidden it. Hadn't tried to get rid of the one piece of evidence that connected him to two dead men upstairs. Now, here's where your ears need to perk up. Because what he told police and what the surveillance video showed are two different stories. Carter said he left the apartment to put candles in his car and get some fresh air. He said he came back for his wallet and keys. And when he re-entered, both brothers squared up with their fists in the air, ready to fight again. That's when he said he drew the firearm. But the cameras tell a different truth. The cameras show him reaching into a car, placing something in his pocket, walking back, banging on the door, yelling, charging in with his hand, already in that pocket, before anyone even touched him. The footage doesn't show a man who was attacked. It shows a man who came prepared. Detective Hernandez took a recorded statement from Carter at 8:07 that evening. And the gap between his version and the video evidence is wide enough to drive a truck through. He says they were ready to fight. The footage shows he was ready to shoot before the door even opened.
And now to a crime alert in Miami. Two brothers gunned down in an apartment building. And tonight we're learning more details on what led up to the fatal gunfire. Local 10 crime specialist Bridget Matter is live in Miami with more. Bridget.
According to police, these two brothers and their sister's boyfriend got into some sort of fight altercation before this double shooting. Those two men are dead, and that suspect is in jail.
Miami police investigating a double homicide in the Liberty City neighborhood. Two brothers, Jaheim and Gianni Pierre, were shot and killed May 2nd at this apartment building off Northwest 17th Avenue. Audio from dispatch says a caller reported 6 shots fired and a woman reporting her brother was shot.
Miami, I made contact with a female, said that her brother shot on the second floor.
An arrest form says while detectives were investigating, a man approached and said, quote, "I'm the one. I have the firearm." Police arrested 31-year-old Antoine Carter, who they say had a gun in his pocket. The report says CCTV footage shows Carter yelling and banging on an apartment door. When it opens, quote, Carter then charged into the apartment as he reached into his front right pocket. Immediately after, several gunshots were heard. A woman then ran out bloodied. That woman told police Carter was her boyfriend who shot her brothers.
On Monday morning, Antoine Carter stood before a judge. The state moved for pretrial detention. The judge didn't take long to decide. "I'm going to grant the state's motion for pretrial detention pending final hearing and hold you with no bond." No bond. 2 counts of first-degree murder. 1 for Johnny, 1 for Jaheim. Carter is currently housed at Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center. And that's where he'll stay while the legal system does its slow dance. But here's a question worth sitting with. If a man confesses at the scene, if he hands over the weapon, if he tells you exactly what he did, why does the state need to fight for no bond? Because sometimes the most obvious cases are the ones where people try to rewrite history. And that's exactly what Carter tried to do with his statement to Detective Hernandez.
As Nicole and Louie, this video that we were able to get tonight gives a glimpse of what happened on May 2nd, and we want to warn our viewers, those who will be listening to this, it's going to be hard to hear.
Listen for the barrage of gunfire hailing inside of this Liberty City apartment unit for a while. Then 40 seconds into the video, you hear someone screaming. Moments later, a woman runs out of the apartment yelling down the hallway. He, police say, is Antoine Carter. The 31-year-old is accused of killing his girlfriend's brothers, Jaheim and Gianni Pierre.
This is a capital offense if you're found guilty.
Miami police say they have video of Carter running to a car to get a gun after he and the brothers got into an argument that turned into a fight. The sister tells police her brothers came to protect her because of a past domestic violent incident.
Now, let me show you something. Tavia Williams, the aunt of these brothers, posted online after the story broke. And what she wrote cuts through all the noise. She said she'd seen many posts and blogs where people were sharing opinions and assumptions about what happened. She said, I kindly ask that it be done with compassion and respect for them, their memories, and our family as we cope with the devastating loss of not one, but two loved ones due to a senseless crime. Not one, two. That's the part people forget when they're typing from their couches. A family lost two sons in one morning. A mother lost two children who shared a birthday. A daughter lost her father. And the sister at the center of it all lost her brothers and then had to watch strangers on the internet pick apart her pain. Speaking of which, the online commentary has been something else. People asking why she didn't just call the police. People saying she shouldn't have involved her brothers. People speculating about whether she warned them, whether she knew what might happen, whether she bears some of the weight for what went down. Let's stop right there for a second. Let me ask you something. When you're in a relationship that's turned violent, when the person who's supposed to love you has become the person you're scared of, what's the clean exit strategy? Where's the manual that tells you exactly how to get out without anyone getting hurt? Because I haven't found it yet. Another family member posted something that hit different. She said, as someone who's been in a DV relationship with an overprotective family, I left. Now, when I see girls going through, I'm quick to tell anyone to leave. Gianni and y'all didn't deserve to leave like this. She also made one thing crystal clear. Jaleesa didn't call her brothers over. They came on their own. That's a different weight entirely. She wasn't the spark. She was already in the fire, and her brothers ran in to pull her out. So, let me give you something to think about. Something that might help you understand cases like this when you see them in the news. Domestic violence is not a relationship problem. It's a pattern of control and escalation. And here's what the research tells us. The most dangerous time in a domestic violence situation is not when the abuse is happening. It's when the victim tries to leave. That's when the abuser feels like they're losing control. That's when the violence spikes. Now apply that lens to what happened here. The brothers showed up. They were a threat to Carter's control over Jaleesa. They represented the possibility of her leaving, of her having support, of her having a way out. So what did Carter do? He left the apartment, but he didn't leave the building. He went to his car. He got his gun, and he came back. That's not a crime of passion. That's not a heat of the moment mistake. That's a man who made a series of deliberate choices. Walk to the car, reach inside, put the gun in his pocket, walk back, bang on the door, yell, wait, charge in, fire. Every single one of those was a choice. And every single one of those choices could have gone differently. He could have kept walking to his car and driven away. He could have cooled off. He could have let the brothers take their sister somewhere safe. But he didn't. And here's the other thing. When he sat on that bed and said, "See what you made me do," he was doing something abusers do. Shifting responsibility. Making her feel like her actions caused his violence. It's a tactic as old as time. And it works. It makes victims doubt themselves. It makes families question whether they should have gotten involved. It makes sisters carry guilt that was never theirs to carry. But let me be clear. Jaleesa did not pull that trigger. Antoine Carter did. He walked to that car. He loaded that gun. He came back through that door. And two brothers paid for his choices with their lives. Gianni Pierre was 28 years old. He had a daughter who will never see him walk through the door again. Jaheim Pierre was 23. His last act on this earth was covering his sister with his own body. Born on the same day, died on the same day, same family, same tragedy, same apartment where a man decided that his anger mattered more than their lives. There's a version of this story where the brothers show up, check on their sister, and everyone goes home. That version exists in some parallel universe, but not in this one. In this one, a man walked to his car, got a gun, came back, and ended 2 lives because he couldn't stand the thought of losing control. So what do we take from this? Here's what I hope stays with you. If you know someone in a domestic violence situation, don't wait for them to ask for help. Don't assume they'll call. Don't assume they know how to get out. The most dangerous time is when they try to leave, and that's when they need you most. But here's the hard truth. Sometimes showing up isn't enough. Sometimes the danger is bigger than any brother can stop. Sometimes love gets you through the door, and violence waits on the other side. The Pierre family set up a GoFundMe to help with funeral expenses. 2 funerals, 2 caskets, 2 brothers who should still be here. If this story moved you, if it made you think about someone in your life, share it. Let it land where it needs to land. Because the only thing worse than this happening is this happening and nobody learning anything from it. You've been watching True Crime Unravelled on YouTube. And if you're with us on Facebook or Instagram, you're on True Crime Unravelled TV. We read every comment, every story you share, every time you open up about your own experience with family, with domestic violence, with loss. Keep them coming. This community is stronger because you show up. Drop a comment below. Here's the question. If you knew someone in a situation like this, what would you do differently? What would you say? Because the answer to that question might save a life. Until next time, take care of each other. And remember, those 2 brothers didn't go looking for a fight. They went looking for their sister. And that's the kind of love that should never cost you everything. True Crime Unravelled. We tell the stories that matter.
A man is in custody after police say he shot and killed his girlfriend's 2 brothers. This happened after an argument escalated into a shooting. CBS News Miami's Maribel Rodriguez is your reporter in Miami with what neighbors are saying about this.
Woke from dead sleep. 5 gunshots. Pow, 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 pow. And then the door slammed underneath my balcony.
That's what Gina Kirk said she heard Saturday morning coming from a neighbor's apartment at 5329 Northwest 17th Avenue.
Good morning, Mr. Carter.
According to police, it was this man, 31-year-old Antoine Carter, who fired the shots. When officials arrived to this building in Miami, they found 2 men in their 20s shot multiple times inside one of the apartments. One of them was dead. The other died at the hospital.
There's probable cause for the charges. It looks like he shot and killed a girlfriend's 2 brothers.
Police say Carter's girlfriend's brothers went to check up on her and when they arrived, got into a fight with Carter. According to investigators, they found Carter outside the building who told them, quote, "I am the one," and the gun was found in his pocket. Carter was taken into custody and appeared in bond court on Monday.
I'm going to grant the state's motion for pretrial detention pending final hearing and hold you with no bond.
And Carter is being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and according to police, he does have a history of domestic violence. In Miami, Maribel Rodriguez, CBS News, Miami.
And now to a crime alert in Miami. 2 brothers gunned down in an apartment building. And tonight we're learning more details on what led up to the fatal gunfire. Local 10 crime specialist Bridget Matter is live in Miami with more. Bridget.
According to police, these 2 brothers and their sister's boyfriend got into some sort of fight altercation before this double shooting. Those 2 men are dead, and that suspect is in jail.
Miami police investigating a double homicide in the Liberty City neighborhood. 2 brothers, Jaheim and Gianni Pierre, were shot and killed May 2nd at this apartment building off Northwest 17th Avenue. Audio from dispatch says a caller reported 6 shots fired and a woman reporting her brother was shot.
Miami, I made contact with a female, said that her brother shot on the 2nd floor.
An arrest form says while detectives were investigating, a man approached and said, quote, I'm the one. I have the firearm. Police arrested 31-year-old Antoine Carter, who they say had a gun in his pocket. The report says CCTV footage shows Carter yelling and banging on an apartment door. When it opens, quote, Carter then charged into the apartment as he reached into his front right pocket. Immediately after, several gunshots were heard. A woman then ran out bloodied. That woman told police Carter was her boyfriend who shot her brothers.
And right now, that suspect remains in jail. He is facing 2 first-degree murder charges. In Miami, Bridget Matter, Local 10 News.